Is China sending drone swarms to spy on militaries around the world? According to the Warzone publication, the US Navy has finally released video footage of an incident from 2019, where 6 unidentified drones flew over its most advanced surface combatant, the USS Zumwalt, while it was in international waters 17 miles off the coast of Southern California. At approximately 8:30 p.m. on April 24, 2019, at least 6 unknown unmanned aerial systems were seen from 300 to 1,000 feet above the naval ship. Drone security specialist David Kovar described the flying objects as long-range quad drones with regularly spaced running lights, adding that they could be gasoline-powered with the ability to land and take off vertically, most likely launched from a boat. He says these types of aircraft are a favorite of the Chinese Navy. Is China probing for a drone attack, or just gathering intel? In fact, during the early months of 2019, there were more than half a dozen similar incidents where drones swarmed U.S. naval vessels off the coast of Southern California, one of which was a surveillance operation launched from a cargo ship called the Bass Strait, which is owned and operated out of Hong Kong. During the incident, the cargo ship was unsuccessfully contacted by the U.S. naval vessel. In all of these encounters, the drone swarm flies in a triangle formation with running lights underneath each unmanned drone. The drones were assessed to be conducting collection operations on the naval ships. These incidents involving multiple drones have increased significantly worldwide since 2019, raising the alarm. On April 5, 2021, the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Michael Gilday, stated in regards to drone swarms that, quote, "There have been other sightings by aviators in the air and by other ships, not only of the United States, but of other nations. Clearly, the U.S. Navy is concerned about swarms of drones launched from international waters." Just in July of 2022, the Naval Surface Warfare Center ran an event called Silent Swarm 22, a large-scale experimentation event that focused on electromagnetic warfare employed on small-domain unmanned systems. In other words, drones. The logo for their event even includes drones swarming a U.S. naval ship. 150 participants from multiple Department of Defense agencies conducted the exercise for over 2 weeks, with more than 17 technologies and electromagnetic spectrum-related capabilities. Because aside from spying, these drones could be used as the delivery system for an electromagnetic pulse attack, or worse. Sonora Laughlin, the deputy project lead, stated, quote, "At this event, we want to create an environment that allows positive and constructive testing of emerging technologies for the future war fight." As she said, the U.S. Navy and Department of Defense are preparing for drone warfare in the near future, and this type of war will be fought with China. It only makes sense that the culprit behind these drone swarms is China, given that just this week Taiwan's military shot down a drone hovering over one of its island outposts just off the Chinese coast after it entered restricted airspace over Taiwan. Following a series of flares and warning shots, the drone maintained its position, so it was finally shot down by the Taiwanese military. Just the day before this incident, Taiwan claims it warned off drones hovering over 3 of its islands, off the coast of the Chinese port city of Xiamen. The state-run South China Morning Post claims that the drone was a civilian-operated drone. However, it seems far more likely that it belonged to the Chinese military, and was collecting intelligence on Taiwan and its naval defense capabilities. Will a future Chinese invasion of Taiwan begin with drone swarms? And what does China have in mind for the west coast of the United States? An EMP attack before a land invasion? Or will the U.S. Navy only be stunned to prevent any serious interference with their conquering of Taiwan? At least one thing is for sure, these drone swarms are definitely not UFOs. They're Chinese, and they're up to something. On July 28th, Biden and Xi Jinping spoke for 2 hours and 17 minutes. visits, the 5th time they have spoken since Biden took office. They discussed the possibility of meeting in person sometime soon. However, the tone of their conversation was not completely cordial. Xi Jinping issued a stark warning over U.S. relations with Taiwan in reaction to Nancy Pelosi's potential visit to the island nation. Quote, "Those who play with fire will perish by it. It is hoped that the United States will be clear-eyed about this." Just like Russia with eastern Ukraine, China sees Taiwan as a satellite of itself, and they wish to reunite it with the mainland, by force if need be. During their meeting, Biden stuck to the One China policy and affirms that the U.S. hasn't changed its position and does not back Taiwan independence. The U.S. recognized Taiwan's independence for 30 years after Communist China was formed, but switched their position in 1979. The White House officially stated, quote, "The U.S. policy has not changed, and the U.S. strongly opposes unilateral efforts to change the status quo or undermine peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait." Overall, the Biden administration fears Pelosi's trip could spark a major crisis across the Taiwan Strait and has warned her not to go. Pelosi was originally scheduled to travel to Taipei in April, but pulled out at the last minute after testing positive for virus. She hasn't indicated her current travel plans to Taiwan for security reasons, including the fear of having her plane shot down in the Taiwan Strait. The South China Morning Post reported that Taiwan would have to bear the wrath of Beijing if Pelosi visited the island. Senior Colonel Tan Kaifei, a Chinese Defense Ministry spokesman, stated, quote, "If the U.S. insists on taking its own course, the Chinese military will never sit idly by, and it will definitely take strong actions to thwart any external forces' interference." According to Beijing sources, the U.S. has stepped up their activities in the South China Sea, with a guided missile destroyer entering waters claimed by China 3 times in a week. Also, the USS Ronald Reagan and its strike group arrived in the South China Sea on July 28th, which the Chinese Foreign Ministry, Zhao Lijian, described as the U.S. flexing its muscles. Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, stated, quote, "If there's a decision made that Speaker Pelosi or anyone else is going to travel, and they asked for military support, we will do what is necessary to ensure a safe conduct of their visit." And I'll just leave it at that. China and the West have been engaging in risky one-on-one confrontations, including dangerously close flybys that force pilots to swerve out of the way, like scenes straight out of Top Gun, which happened to edit out a patch of the Taiwanese flag from Tom Cruise's jacket at the behest of Communist China. Pelosi has invited other members of Congress to join her in her visit to Taiwan sometime next month. Both Democrats and Republicans were included. Rep. Michael McCall of Texas responded with, quote, "Any member that wants to go should. It shows political deterrence to President Xi. But Xi should also pay attention to the military if it's going to cause a blowback and escalate things."